Catch Word Adventure on Beelit. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. only on TVWAN.
Hello, this is the Midday News. Thanks for joining us. The Deputy Commissioner of Police for Special Operations, Donald Yamasombi, has welcomed the sentencing of a drug smuggler in Australia. Deputy Commissioner Donald Yamasombi says he is satisfied with the outcome of the Australian Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday, June 11th, which sentenced 54-year-old pilot Bernard Hamilton Alexander to 11 years in prison for smuggling 56 kilograms of methamphetamine from Papua New Guinea to Australia in March 2023. Alexander initially pleaded not guilty and maintained his plea for over a year, prompting Yamasombi and another investigator to prepare to testify via video link. However, the video changed his plea to guilty ahead of the hearing, avoiding the need for their testimony. Yamasombi thanked all officers involved in the investigation across Lae, Port Moresby and other regions and acknowledged the critical support from the Australian Federal Police in securing the conviction. 2 Asians and 6 PNG nationals were also arrested in connection to the case. Tuberculosis, or TB, is rated as the top killer in Papua New Guinea. Though it is totally curable and preventable, it remains the leading cause of death in hospital admission in the country, the leading killer of people with HIV, and a major cause of death related to undiagnosed and late diagnosed TB antimicrobial resistance.
The Minister for Health and member for Pomio, Elias Kapavore, this week called on the National Department of Health and provincial health authorities to immediately act to eliminate TB in the country. Kapavore said he was alarmed when seeing the statistics of TB rates in Papua New Guinea, which were presented during the TB summit this week at the Hilton Hotel in Port Moresby. In 2024, there were 46,000 patients and families who suffered from TB. This means that 126 people get TB every single day in Papua New Guinea. It showed that every day there are 9 to 14 people dying of TB in Papua New Guinea, regardless of age. In 2024, it was estimated that 3,400 people died from TB, but only 1,200 were reported, including 19 people with HIV. The war on TB was declared by the Minister for HIV, Elias Kapavore, in collaboration with the National Capital District Governor Powes Pakop, and was witnessed by the Governor for East Sepik, Alan Bird.
The Governor for NCD is also the Chairman for TB Caucus in our country. Chairman for PNG TB Caucus. I now take this particular responsibility and the opportunity to now declare the PNG TB Summit 2025 focused towards ending TB in our country. We must eliminate TB in PNG and strengthening collaboration and innovation. The date that we want to see more collaboration will be on the 12th to 14th of August 2025 in Port Moresby. Together, we must join this fight and make this difference to reduce TB in our country.
Minister Kapavore urged the provincial health authorities to scale up their action against TB immediately. He said they have no excuse because the government and the donor partners are making financial resources available for them to carry out the fight against TB. Frida Kana, TVWAN News.
Prime Minister James Marape has reaffirmed Papua New Guinea's global leadership in climate and ocean advocacy, following high-level engagements in France this week. Speaking on the sidelines of the third United Nations Oceans Conference in Nice, France, PM Marape emphasized PNG's critical role in marine biodiversity and sustainable fisheries, calling for stronger international commitment to climate action, especially from the world's largest carbon emitters. He described PNG as a maritime nation at the heart of the Coral Triangle, home to 7% of global biodiversity and 1/3 of the world's tuna stock. In bilateral talks with French President Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister praised France's ongoing climate and forest conservation support, adding that Macron has become a beacon of hope for many Pacific Island nations facing rising seas and ecological loss.
50 nations were in that conference. Papua New Guinea were given a preeminent place in the conference, not just by United Nations, but also by the host nation, the government of France. And so our placement was noted by all concerned that we were given a prominent place in our engagements, both at the main plenary sessions as well as in the other meetings that were running. I make commendations to one specific meeting that PNG is a leader on the corals of the world. PNG was the host sponsor of engagement on the corals, and our conversations became quite a leading voice in that space for the preservation of the corals, all in the interest of preserving Earth in its natural state so that sustenance of human life can go on.
In Port Moresby yesterday, Prime Minister James Marape paid homage to the founding fathers of the Pangu Party on the eve of its 58th anniversary, describing it as the political force that paved the way for Papua New Guinea's independence and national identity. The Prime Minister made these remarks ahead of the official anniversary on June 13th, reflecting on the pivotal moment in 1967, when a group of young and determined Papua New Guineans formed the party under colonial rule. At a time when the country was deeply divided by language, region, and custom, Pangu Party emerged with a single vision to unite the territories of Papua and New Guinea into one sovereign nation. Marape said the courage and determination of the founding fathers laid the groundwork for self-governance and independence, warning that any delay beyond 1975 could have led to a fragmented national identity.
Prime Minister's current deputy party leader and those of us in the current public government, we owe it to those who came before us, giants of our country, lest we forget. Whilst today's generation may see 19th seamless transition from an Australian administration to a truly indigenous administration in 1975 as something that happened, lest we forget the work behind the scene put by giants of our land.
Madang province will soon have its own mobile police barracks. This follows the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Papua New Guinea and the Madang provincial government. The MOU is to allow the Madang provincial government to develop Asua Land Portion 848 for the construction of the Madang Mobile Police Barracks, which is worth 15 million kina. Madang Acting Provincial Police Commander Superintendent Robert Baim was relieved that the signing took place and stated that this now paves the way for work to begin on the 40-man police barracks project. Baim said this project is funded by the Department of National Planning and Monitoring and should have commenced last year, but due to administrative issues and political tussles, it was delayed to this year. Police suspect a couple found dead on Sydney's northern beaches died in a domestic violence murder-suicide. It's believed the man and woman died several days ago. The ABC understands the man had a history of domestic violence offences.
In a granny flat behind this grand Northern Beaches home, police discovered a horrifying scene.
With the assistance of Fire and Rescue New South Wales, entry was forced into the premises, and on arrival they found 2 people who had deceased.
It's believed the couple had been dead for several days before a neighbour called police to report they hadn't been seen since Saturday. Police arrived about 9:30 last night, where they found a man in his 40s and a woman in her 50s with stab wounds.
They have got lacerations to them. I can't give you any more details about what their cause of death or the level of injuries.
Detectives suspect they died in a murder-suicide and are not looking for a third person.
The 2 occupants were known to the New South Wales Police, but there was no history of domestic violence in New South Wales.
The ABC understands the man did have a history of domestic violence offences in Queensland. Neighbours on the Forestville street said the couple mostly kept to themselves.
She was always friendly and smiled. I didn't ever really see her with a gentleman. I only ever saw her alone. Yeah, it's just sad that, someone's experienced that.
The couple had been renting the granny flat for about a year and had been living in New South Wales for several years. They were known to Sydney Police for minor offences. Their 2 dogs and a cat were rescued from the scene and taken to a local vet. Police are urging anyone who witnessed suspicious activity on the street in the past 4 days to come forward.
The Moresby South Dolphins emerged victorious over the Ley Morbe Pride in a thrilling final, clinching the championship title with a score of 12 points to 10. The big showdown took place on Thursday, June 12th at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium. The triumph not only secured the prestigious trophy for the Dolphins, but also the substantial cash prize of 200,000 kina, considered the largest prize awarded in any off-season rugby league competition in Papua New Guinea. Despite the Pride's efforts to mount a comeback, including a late attempt to score a try, the referee ruled it out, confirming the Dolphins' lead. As a result, the Pride settled for the 2nd place and the accompanying cash prize of 60,000 kina. Talai Spartans and Monomutrus brothers had to play for the 3rd cash prize of 40,000 kina won by Spartans. From a total of more than 80 teams that took part in November last year, it all came down to the final 4 teams to battle out for a piece of the 300,000 kina cash prize. And that ends the Midday News Update. Do join us at 6 p.m. for more.